Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Monomyth Diaries, a podcast where ordinary people get to share their hero's journey. I'm Mandy.
And I'm Karen, and we'll be your hosts.
We'll discover powerful insights, critical moments of growth, and much more.
Thanks for joining us. We all have a monomyth to share, and someone out there needs to hear it.
Welcome to the Monomyth Diaries, where it's a take what you like and leave the rest podcast.
Today's featured hero is Maaike. Maaike emailed us to ask if she could share her monomyth on our show.
Maaike is not local to us, which presented us with an opportunity to live out one of our core values, which is to stretch ourselves and learn how to conduct a virtual discussion.
In our first introductory meeting with her, she taught us the phrase braving up. So, here we grow again.
Welcome to our show, Maaike. It's such a privilege and honor to have you as our very first virtual guest.
I am so excited and thank you for inviting me. This has been my dream for the longest time, and like to have the opportunity to have it live like this, virtual. There's always a first time.
There is. Thank you so much, because it's forced me to have to learn how to do it. I've been praying about doing this, and I'm glad you came into our life. So thanks. We're going to start with some Monomyth story starters. It's just a series of quick questions. It gives you an opportunity to get comfortable and the audience and ourselves to get to know you a little better. You ready?
Ready?
Maaike, what is the best gift you have ever received?
I would say I have to divide it into three children that God gave me.
Lovely. Oh,
Yes.
I love that. I love that. All right, if you could have...
Are we going to have...
You're going to cry already. I love that. Want to tell us about your three kids?
Of course. They are such a gift. And I have three children. My oldest is 29. He graduated in Boston, and we live here in Houston. And then I have my 27-year-old. It's another boy, and they are 2 years apart. He has been my greatest teacher. He was born with some immaturity, so I studied psychology, and my thesis was in early stimulation. So I got to practice everything that I learned for my thesis with my child. So he was meant to be. Then the third one popped up, and she was a girl. My middle child did not walk until he was 2.5. So when she was born, it was like I had twins, even though they were a year and a half apart. Yes, they are true gifts for me.
If you could have any job for a day, what would it be?
Conversations with women, just learning about their life, like be a sounding board. And that is my real passion, listening and guiding people.
So, Maaike, this is a really deep question. Coffee or tea?
Both, but I must say that a morning coffee I wouldn't change for anything. There was a period in my life that I needed to remove coffee, changed it for green tea, which has great antioxidants. Bullet coffee is my go-to.
What is your favorite season and why?
Spring, because it's like the rebirth. There is so much newness and freshness in the air.
What is your favorite holiday?
I do think it's Christmas because it's the gifting, but I never believed in gifts like so many, like physical gifts so much. It was like a challenge and struggle and stress when I first got married and going to the family's Christmas and see who gives what and the presents. And I always said, presence before presents. And for me, being there present was much more important than the actual presents and the gifts. And this past year, I left Mexico almost 18 years ago, and we got opportunity to celebrate Christmas in Mexico, me and my children, with my family. We had no physical gifts. It was all presents. We got to prepare something really special just for one person, and we did like an exchange, but really thoughtful gift about that person. And oh my gosh, it was like incredible, that creativity that everybody had. It touched all our hearts, and it was like, I'm gonna cry again, but it was so beautiful. It's like I wish that for every single family to have that. It was beautiful. Yeah.
I kind of feel like the purpose of a holiday is to remind us of something important. And what you just shared just encapsulated that. So thank you. Yeah, I love that. We have in the studio Because I know we've told the audience that we're actually recording our very first virtual podcast, but normally we're in the studio recording, and inside the physical room, we have a wall of things that people say, like quotes. So we'll have to add that because I've not heard anybody say presence before presence. That would make a great t-shirt, by the way. We always talk about great t-shirt lines, and that's so true. It's hard to stay in the moment, be present, not to get hung up on all the nonsense. So yeah, thanks for that reminder.
So what is your favorite childhood memory?
Traveling with my parents to Baja California. We didn't have so much money to be able to travel too much, but that was kind of the first adventure that we had. And it was just, again, the connection that I had with my parents, my siblings, and we got to travel together without any stress and just relax and enjoy.
What was your favorite movie?
Mamma Mia is my favorite show and movie and music. And it's like if I'm feeling a little sad or I want to pick up my energy, like Mamma Mia, that's my dream, to go to Greece to sing Mamma Mia and just be in the show.
All right, if you had one wish, what would it be?
To share my story with a large, very large audience. And it starts today. I'm giving voice to everything that I've been doing for the past 30 years.
I love that enthusiasm. Well, we're going to jump right in. Thanks again for reaching out to us and being willing to share your story. We always appreciate when people are brave and vulnerable. We're going to jump into your early life. Tell us where you're from. Tell us about your family, family dynamics, your dreams, education, anything that you feel is relevant to your early life.
I was born in Mexico City. My mother is from Holland and my father is from Mexico. So they have a saying that I like to share here because it's very unique. It's like Dutch cheese and Mexican tortillas. What a delicious quesadilla. So they said that in their wedding. Very unique, two cultures. We spoke Spanish at home, but my mother grew up in the US and they wanted us to really know English because all her family was living in Seattle. So that's where she grew up. So we had English at school and Spanish at home. We never learned Dutch because my father did not know Dutch and he did not allow her to speak us in Dutch. When I was 2 years old, my father was sent to Brazil to work. So we went to Brazil, then came back. I think in Brazil, my brother and my sister were born. We'll talk about my angel, which is my father's youngest sister, shared with me that I was very a lively person at 2 years old. But when I went to Brazil and then when I came back, she saw that I was more quiet. I was 4 years old. I was very reserved. So she said, I don't know what happened, but as my Maaikita was kind of a little different. And that is coming up in probably all our conversation and my mission and my calling, because I kind of silenced my voice. And today we're making that voice be heard.
And how about your relationship with your mom and dad? What was that like?
Thank you for asking that question. With mom, she was always there. She was at home with us all the time. And I had a good relationship. And with my father, it was good while I was a little child. When I became a teenager, he never thought we were going to grow up. He never thought that we were going to have boyfriends. And he did not know how to handle that. He didn't want to cause problems. So he isolated himself when we were at dinner or lunch together and there was a little bit of altercation or just some differences. Instead of bringing it on the table and talking about it, he would stand up and go to his bedroom. That is what I remember. And he was not very warm with my mom. He didn't like to show affection, holding hands with my mom. And I never saw that, like hugging until probably much older, when they were older, hugging and embracing. It was my mom to my dad, not my dad to my mom, not that I remember. So I think there was a lot of kind of confusion in me to what is a relationship with parents. And I think I have carried that along, even though I have been caring and loving, but not as affectionate, probably, with my relationship, even with my husband. I had always open conversations with my mom, not with my dad. And I know that when I got married, I wanted to talk with my dad so bad to tell him how I was feeling. And I was curious about his life. He never shared anything about his life. And his father was an alcoholic and he was not a present dad. So you can understand why he was how he was. So for me today, this is a gift for me to heal past generations, my father, right? It's like giving the voice that he did not express ever, and those emotions. And it's hard to be vulnerable. It's hard to share emotions. It's hard for others to see how you really feel and who you are authentically and sincerely and not hiding, because my entire life has been hiding. Another thing that is important to say is that my father and my mother, they met in Seattle. So my father was studying there his master's, and my mother was studying her first year of home economics. She never finished. It was in the 60s. And she said, I'm not going to marry and have family here with all the hippies and all these things. So when she saw Latin people and alive and then happy people, and she decided to leave. They got married and then they went to live to Mexico. It was not easy for her because then my father turned in like the real macho Mexican traditional, because he was at home. So he didn't show that part of him in the US because that was not the way. He didn't want her to have a driver's license. So everything that my mother did, she did it sneaking, like behind his will. Because if she asked permission, he wouldn't want it. That is the example that I have, that if you want to achieve something, you don't ask permission and you do not say anything and you do it behind closed doors, right? And that has been the story of my life. And it has been hard, very hard, because it has brought consequences. Now that I see it, I understand it. But for so many years, it's like, why do I do things hiding? Why do I do things and make decisions hiding and not asking? I don't want rejection. And that was my father. He did not like rejection. And something important to say, my parents used to have a weekend house in Valle de Bravo, which is close to the lake. And my husband and I loved going there. My father, he was very disciplined by the book, and his rules were not clearly spoken, but they were kind of imposed. But one time, my husband came down to breakfast without shaving. My dad did not like that. And he came in and gave him a mirror. And he said, if you come to breakfast at my house, you have to come down shaved. My husband did not like that. He does not like to be told what to do. That was a little disruption because I didn't support my husband. I supported my dad. That was not a good sign. He said that I should have supported him because I'm the wife.
So you study in Holland and then you moved back to Mexico. Is that correct?
I studied psychology in Mexico. While my thesis was processing, I was able to go as an exchange student to Holland. It was incredible. I got to study and meet a lot of people. And so I come back, my thesis was ready. Then I did my actual graduation and presented my thesis. So now it was time to go to work.
You're a married woman and you keep referring to your husband. Do you want to walk us through that?
That's been a journey. So that was 2.5 years in. So we still dated 2 more years. So it was 4 years or 4.5 years before we decided to be married. I was 26 and he was 29. He said he wanted a kid by 30, but we have very little money at the beginning. I would cook in a sandwich, like a grilled cheese sandwich, and I had the microwave, and I had like a bucket to wash things. That was the beginning of my marriage. So when we had our first child, it was healthy and a big boy. I had prepared myself for the pain and the natural birth. It was a C-section. After having the baby, and then it's like, okay, you cannot go upstairs. My house had 2 stories. My husband was finishing his master's, so he had to go to school all afternoon and work in the morning. So he was not home. He just came back, prepared me some dinner, yogurt with fruit, so I could have something in the afternoon because I could not go down to the kitchen. 3 months upstairs alone. So that has been the story of my life, always alone with my children, figuring things out on my own. And he was a provider, money provider, emotional. I then had a second child and then my third child. And I never asked for his help because I assumed that he was a provider of money and I would do everything else. Never talked about roles, never talked about duties, but I assumed the role and we never talked about anything.
Right. Between Holland and marrying your husband, had you worked at all?
I worked while I was in college. And then when I came back, I was working as a teacher and also in a department of psychology, giving psychotherapy to little children. So in my first years of marriage, I was working all the time until I had my baby. So I had already my daughter and my son. I wanted to provide, I wanted to have some income. So there was a little school just like up the street of my house. So I went to the directors and I said, can I be a sub? Can I help you out? Because I wanted my children to attend the school. I needed some breather. I needed my me time. Because I was like all things mommy, right? I didn't have time for myself at all. And I would come with my second child. My first child was at the school. My second child was at the school, and I had a newborn baby. But at least I felt I was doing something else other than motherhood.
And then you hit a milestone right around the age of 40. Can we talk about that?
So all these years, we had this seed in our head that we would like to go live abroad. We didn't even know where or what, but it like just to have the experience of living abroad. We had very good friends that we did a lot of activities with the children, and they had come to live to Houston 2 years prior. So they were already here living, and they invited us to come several times. And a few months later, my friend said, well, to my husband, do you want to buy the house, buy it as an investment, as a summer house? He said, okay, I'll do it. And he carved the path already because he applied as an investor's visa to be able to live here as a resident, as an investor's visa. So he did everything. Thank goodness. He was making good money. I don't know how. I never really knew all the things that he was doing, but he was never talked about his job or his feelings or his dreams. We never really talked about so many dreams. We talked about it when we were getting married. That vision of the beautiful house, the kids, like everything picture perfect, but that dream stopped right there. We never talked about what comes next. I turned 40 and I was working with my mom at the time as a liaison of representing schools in Canada, the US, and England for us to help families to be the matchmakers of the school with the child's activity, what he wanted to do. So I was applying kind of my psychology right there, and I loved it. So this was my mother's business. And the dream for my mom was for me to keep that business. So she started it and then she trained me and we worked together. I never told her that I was going to leave the country until we got the visa. Those 6 months, I didn't say a word. My husband said, don't say anything because se nos va, se va, which means if you say it, you speak it out loud, it might not happen. I should have kind of said it at least to my mom, but I was honoring his word. Then at 40, I did this big party for my 40s with all my friends. It was my celebration, but it was also my farewell. But I announced that I was going to leave the country. It was like a big shock for everybody. I gave them like 2 weeks and we came, we unpacked, we arranged everything. And then he said, okay, I'm going back. His job was in Mexico. So when I dropped him off to the airport after that 2 weeks, I sobbed on the way back. I'm in a new country with 3 children.
How old are the children at this point when you decide to stay without him?
6, 7, and 9.
And it was
And-
supposed to be for 1 year just to see how it goes.
Yeah, we were kind of experimenting.
You've also given up your career, right? You were working with your mother.
Mhm.
So when you come to the United States, do you have a job?
Great question. So in order to, like the investor's visa, he had to invest in something. So it was a storage facility. And at that time, I think he had purchased one house or something. So he bought this storage facility that already had tenants and everything. In order to live here, we need to manage this. I'm a psychologist, okay? I have no knowledge of administration, of nothing. And he goes, here, this is what you're gonna do, and you're gonna manage. Again, I just assumed this is what you're gonna do, and this is your ticket to live here.
And you're trusting him to take care of you financially. You were trusting him.
Yeah, and he did. But I just trusted everything because, like, okay, I'm having a great life here. And he would go back and forth every weekend. He would come for all the events for the children. But he was with them, but not with them because he was an official for the summer league for the kids. And he was like the head of the officials. So he was working all the time versus being with the children.
So you're here in the United States. Your husband's coming back and forth. Did you have any other support helping with the kids, helping with this business?
Actually, no. I managed everything. Since my husband did not have a good relationship with my family, I kind of left and kind of cut cords with my family. I didn't even go back very often to Mexico. And now that I go back, it's like, what, Maaike, what were you thinking? I didn't know how to set boundaries. Again, the story of my dad. Emotionally, like I would do everything. I was a good girl. I would zip my lips and then like whatever he said, I would do. And if anything was in contrary, like I didn't want conflict. So I did everything that he said. If he would agree or not agree, like, okay, this is what I'm doing. He always he was all managing all things, papers, banks, and things. I would trust him because he was my husband.
So you're slowly losing yourself. Is that how you would describe it?
Yeah.
You're losing your voice. You're losing your identity of who you really are because you have given up everything that you know.
Even though it didn't show, right? I never showed that I was like feeling like that. But inside, I was so lonely, so lost, and especially with the menopause, perimenopause, like I was feeling tired. That's when I knew also that I was in perimenopause, my breast pain and then night sweats. But I didn't even know how to describe what I was feeling when I was emotional. I would cry, but kind of hiding, like on the bed, the same bed, and I'm crying, turning. It was seldomly he would hug me to kind of console me and I'd like to express. He does not know how to manage emotions either at all. So I married someone who does not deal with emotions like my dad. That's why they didn't like each other.
What were some of the challenges you experienced during the immigration process? Here you are, you're coming in from another country. There's probably language, no network, as you said, all your friends and family were back in Mexico City. And then your husband's like, okay, I'm leaving. You're going to take care of everything. But outside of all of that, were there any challenges from, transitioning from being a Mexican resident to an American resident?
Absolutely. There was identity crisis crazy because in Mexico, you don't lose your maiden name, your father's name, right? I was always Maaike del Villar. So in Mexico, when you get married, you are your name, your last name, and you belong to as married. So de Sainz, that would be Maaike del Villar de Sainz. It's too much, right? Too many last names. And my kids were Fernando Sainz, Gerardo Sainz, Renata Sainz. So here you are the mother of, so you have to, like, you are, like, I became Maaike Signs, when actually that's my daughter's name. Maaike Renata Signs, that's her name. So every time, okay, so we have the electricity bill, right? It's like, sign up for electricity. Okay, what name am I gonna put? Maaike de Villar, Maaike Signs, Maaike de Villar Signs. So every paper that I signed different. I didn't know, who am I here? And everybody would say, well, you're science kids, so like you have your science kids, so you're Maaike Science. But really, that was not me. Every time we showed a passport, they would say, oh, you're Fernando Science, Gerardo Science, Renata Science, Maaike Del Villar. And he would joke and say, oh yeah, she's not part of the family.
Who was the he?
My husband.
How did you feel when your husband's joking around the immigration officer about you not being part of the family?
I think deep down it really hurt, but I didn't say anything.
Was that the first time your husband kind of said things like that to you?
He would say, "Calladita te ves más bonita," which is when you don't say anything, you look nicer. Like saying, "Don't even open your mouth. This is what you need to do. You follow the rules. This is like you ask me for permission. Whatever you need to do." This day he says, no, that is not right. Like, or don't say that. So things that made me shut down or shut up. I bring the money, you don't work, you don't do anything.
Is that a common phrase? Something that is this something that's cultural, or is it specific to your relationship? I mean, when you were growing up, you said that you learned to silence yourself. Mm-hmm. And so you're doing that once again in this marriage. And I know you said you took it with you. Is it cultural?
It is cultural that males like dominate and the women are just in charge of the family, the home, the cooking. And that was a shock that my mom had because my mother did not grow like that. My mother grew up voicing and working, and since she was 16, my grandfather taught her like how to knock on doors and be a salesman.
Okay, that's right, because your mother's Dutch.
Yeah, my mother is Dutch and then in the US, so she learned how to work. She did not silence herself until she went to Mexico. Then she started doing everything hidden. But it's cultural that the woman does not say much or have a vote for much. And my mother had to silence herself. In my marriage, I did the same thing, setting boundaries and telling what I want. I always did what others wanted to do, and nobody asked me, what do you want to do? My father, because he was a Boy Scout and to make life easier, and he does not have that much money, whenever we went to a restaurant, he would order for us because he knew how much he could pay. I didn't know that, but he knew how much he could pay. And to make life easier for everybody, we never got to choose from the menu. When I started learning about coaching, it's like the first question somebody asked me in my coaching sessions, what do you want? Like, what? What do I want? I have no idea.
When do you think that you started to feel a nudge that you wanted things to be different, that things needed to change?
When I started again with my breast pain and my night sweats, and I was like 45, I was running marathons, and I said, I need to find a solution. I was always kind of very holistic. I need to find a solution for this. A friend of mine gave me anesthesia oil, and I loved it. I knew what it was doing for my body. I felt so much better. The night sweats went away. The breast pain went away. So I started doing this as a business. And I said, well, I want to do something for myself. I told him that, like, I want to do something that fulfills me. He said, well, it's not your time anymore. It's your kids' time. It's time for your kids to grow and learn and do the things, but it's not your time. It was a big rupture because I was doing something for myself, but I was using his money to build my business. And he did not like it. He said that if it does not bring you money in a year, you will drop it. I did not keep that promise, and I kept that for 11 years. That was the separation of our relationship because I did not respect what he wanted for me to do, and I did not follow the orders that he wanted. But that was just like the catalyst because I did not follow the things. It just kind of created that separation.
Was there any other major event that happened that made you go, okay, something needs to change. I cannot continue being the good girl who stays silent and follows the rules and lives for everybody. It sounds like you spent a lifetime living and serving everybody else except for pursuing the things that you've always wanted to do.
Okay, so yeah, my dad started having cancer, tongue cancer. He had to have severe treatments in his tongue. And then he started having a little bit, I think, of kind of dementia, but he became very aggressive, angry, forgetful. I really never went to visit him when he was going through all these treatments because my husband did not have a good relationship with him and he would never pay for me to go and visit him. And then he passes away. And I said, I need to go. I kind of begged him to pay for the ticket for me to go. Yeah, since there was not a good relationship there, he would never support me going back. So I missed all this time of my father declining. I never went to see him.
So it sounds like you're building up some resentments at this point from your husband. He's unwilling to help you start your business. You also are resentful that he won't pay for plane tickets for you to go spend time with your dad while he's dying. This is the big nudge.
Yes, something has to change.
We hope you will join us in the next episode when we move deeper into Maaike's transformation and the boons that come from her growth.
Thank you for joining us on the Monomyth Diaries. If this episode resonates with you or someone you know, we'd love for you to share it and spread the inspiration.
Don't forget to follow us wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube to stay connected.
We'd appreciate if you could take a moment and rate and review the podcast. It helps us reach more people with stories of transformation and growth.
You can visit us at monomythdiaries.com or text us directly from the show notes to reach out and keep the conversations going.
Until next time, heroes, let's journey together through our monomyths.